Hello, welcome to Fig Tree Christian. I'm Pastor Melissa. I am so glad that you are here today. I want to talk about a few things, and specifically, I kind of want to talk about the church as it relates to the general public. And I want to do that in two different ways. There was one that I wanted to do last week, but I just did not feel ready to push that button and jump into it. I am this week, and it's going to segue into the church in general and how the church deals with general public secular stuff. Let's call it that, secular stuff. So let us begin. I do not have scriptures today because everything I'm going to talk about is related to general things that are happening today. And sometimes you just don't have a Bible verse for that, although I probably could round up some Bible verses if I felt like it. So recently, this Supreme Court ruled on First Amendment rights, specifically as it related to what kids learn in school. Now, I, for those of you who don't know, am a sub. I'm going into my 10th year as a substitute teacher. I know the standards for middle school forwards and backwards. So sometimes parents will talk to me about that, and I'll tell them what standards have changed over the years because I know that too for Georgia standards. Specifically, I can talk to you about the Paulding County School District because I know it. I know how it's changed. I know what they're doing right now. I know a lot of things. At the same time, I'm a minister. I have been to a very expensive school to learn about ministerial things in the Bible and faith and stuff related to that. So I know both of these subjects very well. And when it comes to what kids are learning in school and the ability to opt out of certain educational standards, it's often related to faith. So let's get into it. The Supreme Court ruled that parents can opt out of certain lessons related to faith and religion, that they didn't want their kids to learn that specific thing, therefore they could opt out. And that's really going to cause a problem in a couple of areas, but the one that I feel comfortable talking about today is evolution. In sixth grade science in the Georgia school system, you learn about the creation of very loosely, because this is sixth grade brains, you learn about creation of the solar system and about creation of the earth and about how scientists have viewed the creation of the earth over the various centuries. Now, I have on multiple occasions been in a science room when this lesson comes up. And there are kids who boldly and enthusiastically said when asked how old the earth is, or how old do scientists believe the earth is, worded in a very specific way, have boldly, enthusiastically said 7 days, which is still wrong. If you're going to use a biblical reference, it's 6 days. But it's always interesting to have me in the room because, primarily, I do not believe that the earth was created in 6 literal days. I do not believe that the story of Genesis happened literally. I'm going to get to that. So I want you to put a pin in it because that's going to come back later when I talk about how the church relates to the general public, to secular stuff. I tell the kids, and I have told the kids for years, that when a teacher asks a certain standard, that the way to word it to retain faith is, this scientist believes, or scientists believe, or it is believed by you have taught us that. And in that wording, you are not saying what you believe. This is something that we did in seminary because we have to go through a lot of beliefs that we embrace and beliefs that we do not. And I will be honest with you, there were more things I did not agree with than agreed with. In fact, almost everything that I was taught in seminary, I pushed against in some way. But when writing essays and when filling out paperwork that was going to be graded, I would know the lingo, which is, this theologian believes this. That is what teachers want. They don't care what you believe. They don't care what you don't believe. They want to know what that scientist or that theologian or that great thinker thought. And when you word it that way, you are not stating what you believe. You are stating what they believe. Now, I had a stepmother when I was in high school, and we were going over this information, because you will, middle schoolers, if you happen to be watching, then just so you know, you will go over that stuff again. 6th grade science will come back in high school. That she failed her science class because she wanted to make sure that she told her science teacher that creation happened in 6 days and that God created it. That how did the Big Bang theory happen? How did the Big Bang happen? Bang. God said bang and it happened. That's not going to save anyone. And that was my other problem when I was dealing with it in the moment, is that beliefs like that, when you are putting yourself in a situation where you are purposefully going to fail because you do not believe what the scientists believe, is not going to save your soul and is not going to save anyone else's soul. Having that belief doesn't change what Jesus said. It merely makes you a purposeful martyr. You are choosing to martyr yourself because you've been told that martyring yourself is good. Well, that's now been taken away, because if you can go in and say, I'm not learning about evolution or about the Big Bang because it is not in my faith tradition, then then you've opened up a new can of worms where you can't be the martyr and you know less because you're not taking the time to learn something that you disagree with, which is something I do all the time. I make sure to read things I disagree with on purpose. I've read things that I have found extremely offensive because I want to know why. I want to know why they believe it, and I want to know how I can talk about it. And I can't talk about it unless I know it. And that is what creation is. Now, if I were going to talk about creation, I can actually make it fit into 6 days. And I can make it fit into 6 days relatively easy now because we have a discussion that we can have on artificial intelligence. It could be possible. It could be incredibly possible that we are a program that God has created. And that program took 6 days to create. Now, for us, because when you're in a game or you're in a program, that time is different. What took God 6 days could have felt like a million years. And that would have been very plausible. Still don't believe that that's the case because it says that the book was written by Moses. And if Moses wrote the book, then there were Moses-level intellect going into understanding creation and what God was telling Moses. And that is human fingerprints on the perfect story. And therefore, it cannot be. Bible is only as perfect as the human hands that put it together. I know that might be offensive to some of you, but there, I said it. Now, that's going to segue into the thing I told you to put a pin in, which is where I stand when I'm here talking to you. What is the point? What is the point of me coming here nearly every week and talking a little bit about the Bible, talking a little bit about faith, and leaving you? Am I here to make you feel good? And the answer is no. I have never been here to make you feel good, to raise you up some, sure, to talk about the hope that is God and what can be in the future. Yes, absolutely. That is there. It's not here. We're not living in that moment. We are living towards that moment, which is something we should always be in connection to. The moment we stop moving is a moment we need to redefine our hope. Beside the point. When Christians get online, they are not there to understand you. And that is a big piece of information that I had to realize as I was moving away from the institutional brick and mortar church. Churches want to understand themselves, the people within churches, not the big C church, not the God's church. That's bigger than brick and mortar buildings. But the small C church, the individual institutions, when they come online 99 times out of 100, let's not say 9 times out of 10, let's raise that bar up. They are not coming online to talk to you. They are coming online to fish for you. They are coming there to get you to understand them. They don't want to understand you. Or if they do want to understand you, they don't understand how to understand you. Oh my goodness, I sound like Roger Sizemore. And if you know who Roger Sizemore is, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Let me simplify that because I want to talk to you, not above you. Once again, Roger Sizemore. I believe that churches see evangelism as helping people see how they are right. And because of that, their attempts to evangelize often is speaking through people and getting the people who hit with those words. And in that case, the churches have never changed because it isn't truly the community around them. It's the people who think like them that are coming in. And so when we get online, we, as in those in leadership forms that have these nice setups and can talk to you and not at you, and well, maybe at you, oftentimes most of us are talking to draw you in, like fishing, and we catch and we're going to put you into our space. I have always struggled with that because I don't believe that I am called for you to come to me. It has always been for me to come to you, to understand your needs and how God is present in your life. And that means that I need to be open to hearing you. And I think that a lot of churches should be preaching on that change by the Supreme Court to say you need to hear what is being taught in schools, and you need to understand how it relates to the Bible after you hear it. This disconnect, this understanding that I am only going to hear the things I believe does not bring any sort of good and challenging change. It only brings a sense of high morality, of I'm better than you. And that's not where we are at. That's not where we should be at. We are not the martyrs in this situation. Like, I know that that's been said since the 80s, 90s more so than the 80s, but we are not the martyrs. We are very well off. I mean, the fact that I can sit before you today in front of this cushy setup and tell you about my faith is definitely a sign that I am not the martyr. I know where the martyrs are. The martyrs are in Africa, are in Asia. The martyrs exist. And the fact that we even would put ourselves in the situation to contemplate calling ourselves a martyr is unbelievably selfish and self-centered of us. And it's difficult to overcome that. But it's also difficult to have these conversations about speaking God's word in a relatable and understandable way, and not have pushback on why aren't you using those high words that we were taught in seminary to use? Why aren't you talking about the Trinity? Why aren't you speaking on substitutionary atonement? Why are you not using that? And to then tell them it's because I'm not talking to them is very frustrating too, because that's when they turn me off. That's when the people who have the money, who have the ability to change the world with the means that they have, are done with me, because it wasn't about you. It was never about you. It was always about them. And if I went to them and I used the proper lingo and I told them that I was going to grow them, they would see me again. And I have to live with that. I have to live with the idea that the people who are called to evangelize to the least of these, and who think they are evangelizing to the least of these, are not. And me, who has been trying to reach out and speak truth to the world and understand truths that are not my own, but they're still truths, is right here. I think morally, we need to be walking a different line. And it is not about us. It's not about me. It's most definitely not about me. I've never wanted it to be about me. Even when there have been people who've wanted it to be about me and who have, like, I remember, oh my goodness, a decade ago on Reddit, back when I was a moderator and I had a pretty decent voice on Our Christianity. I remember that I started Fig Tree. And there was a user that wrote me and said, I can imagine, like Fig Tree sounds like victory, and that I can imagine you in front of 1,000 people speaking to thousands and reaching them. And I was so disgusted by that, because I didn't want it. I never, ever, ever wanted it to be just about me. I am a part of a bigger story. I am part of a collective. Now, right now I'm not. Right now it's just me. Like, look, this is just me. I'm just sitting here talking to you. But I never wanted it to be this. I always, desperately, yearningly wanted it to be about community. Wanted it to be about a group of people who wanted to explore that, who weren't going to shut down when it wasn't going their way. Because I promise you, I have had tons of moments where it hasn't gone my way. I've had moments where I've cried, where I've wept because of failures. And then I get myself back up and I come right on back. I have always wanted it to be the exploration of you, of finding you, of speaking to you in all the ways. In this way, in writing, in art, I have wanted to express how God is already present. And I've done it. It's just, it's not helping them. So it doesn't mean anything to them. It means something to you, I'm sure. I'm sure it does. But until it means something to them, wherever they are, that side or that side, then it doesn't really mean anything to that group. I really desperately want that group. I want the small C church to see their mortality and understand that it's bigger than their building. Man, big dreams, huh? I hope that this week that you can see beyond your building, whatever it is. Maybe it's a physical building, maybe it's not. I hope that you can anticipate the hope that God has for you and how it could be real if only you would follow that path, and how that path is not easy. It's not easy at all. And I smile before you today, but man, is it not easy. But if you want to walk it with me, I'm here. I'm a good hiker. I love hiking. You can hike with me to God's hope. I hope that is with you this day and every day. Go in peace.